Hello everyone. Today I am going to summarize the 7th story of the Tales from the Pizzaplex series, which is Somniphobia. This story includes Moondrop, which is one of my favorite characters in the games. Anyway, let's begin. Bill and Mildred look around a yard sale being hosted by their neighbors whose son, Josh, has suddenly fallen into a coma. The family has to move out of state in order to provide him full-time care. Looking at the household items makes Mildred sad, and she proposes they donate to the family in order to help out instead. Bill examines a broken sphere with an odd-looking jester character inside, and he agrees with his wife's plan. Meanwhile, high school senior Sam Barker is enjoying his Friday lunch with his friends Rod, Jules, Larry, and Bogart at the bleachers. When Sam was in 3rd grade he lost his father in a fatal motorcycle accident, and his death caused Sam to get very bad anxiety. He rarely tries new things and keeps a strict diet. As a result, Sam tends to get teased by his friends, with the only exception being Rod. Sam listens in on his friends' conversation, which is about their biggest fears. Rod lists off his fears, and Bogart brings up the situation with Josh. The conversation gets awkward when the group learns that Sam was never taught to swim by his dad, and Jules quickly changes the subject to Misty's party later. Sam is more excited about Rod's party at Freddy Fazbear's Mega Pizzaplex on Sunday, but still agrees to join. At Misty's party, a girl named Lydia compliments Sam's glasses and offers him a cup of Misty's birthday poolside punch, but he notices others acting funny and concludes alcohol is in the drink. Lydia changes the subject to cliff diving at Santa Cruz, but Sam tells a gruesome story which causes her to leave rather quickly. Jules gets upset and begins to argue with Sam. Rod steps in but Jules shoves the drink in Sam's face. Sam has an anxiety attack as he quickly runs to the kitchen for water, and after he gets the taste out he leaves. Bogart informs the group that Sam left, and Jules complains about Sam's behavior, but Rod doesn't agree and convinces the group to leave as well. On Rod's birthday, the group visits Monty's Gator Golf, Roxy's Raceway, and Phaser Blast. Rod guides his friends toward the Fazcade prize shop to show off one of Moondrop's dream spheres. He explains that it slips people into a hypnotic state in order to focus better, taking information from their subconscious and bringing it more clearly into view. The sphere has a model of Moondrop the Jester within it. They get the dream sphere and go to Rod's house to study. Sam tells a story about his dad's friend who got very drunk at a party and fell asleep only to wake up to the dog having eaten his face. So Rod puts his dog Brutus outside. The dream sphere can only be used 10 minutes a day, so Sam sets a timer and they turn it on. Their notes are turned into visual scenes showing the pyramids of Giza, a math equation on an airplane's distance before taking off, and a kitchen in a pizzeria. There's also a scene from Romeo and Juliet, and they conclude that it was pulled from their subconscious rather than their notes. Rod decides that they'll take turns with it each week and Sam volunteers first. As Rod hands over the sphere, Sam notices that it slightly vibrates in his hands. The next day after school, Sam sets up the dream sphere in his room. He uses the dream sphere to study his notes on English literature and ocean science. Finding himself in the middle of Hamlet and swimming in the ocean, Sam is ecstatic and decides to cook his mother her favorite meal. The next day, he decides to extend the timer to 15 minutes. He watches the signing of the Declaration of Independence, the historical timeline of voting rights, George Washington becoming the first president and those who followed, the passing of treaties and laws, and wars being fought. Suddenly, he finds himself in a small park and notices his dad. Sam, who is now younger, loses him. He spots a flash of blue and gray in the corner of his eye, and his dad jumps out from behind a tree and swings him around. He laughs with his dad as he turns off the dream sphere, but quickly begins crying. Sam's mom helps him look through his dad's stuff, and he takes interest in an old portable CD player with headphones and a few old CDs. The next day in government class, he gets handed by his latest test with a score of 115%. Jules asks for the dream sphere, but Sam sticks to the 1-week rule. During lunch, Sam agrees to help Rod work on his backyard the next day. After school, Sam rushes home and sets the timer to 20 minutes. After learning more about ocean history and the health benefits of an apple, he experiences a family road trip to an amusement park in the zoo, along with a picnic on the beach and family movie night. Later that evening, Sam snaps at his mom when he sees her with the dream sphere. He feels a strange vibration coming from the sphere but decides not to use it. That night, he has trouble sleeping and has to fight the urge to turn on the dream sphere. Sam feels disconnected and has a hard time focusing. Jules snaps him back at the end of their government class, and Sam snaps at Jules when he accidentally bumps into him. Jules intentionally does it, and Sam storms off to his locker. Lydia checks up on him, but Sam quickly runs off to the bleachers. Jules informs the group of what happened, and he and Sam get in a fight over the dream sphere. Rod steps in, but Sam storms off. After school, Sam goes to a mini-mart and purchases coffee. He spots an advertisement for the Mega Pizzaplex, and he also sees snow globes and hanging bells for sale. With everything reminding him of the dream sphere, he jogs home and uses it again. Once finished, he feels strangely exhausted, and he remembers the promise he made with Rod. He apologizes and looks at his bedroom mirror, noticing that he's pale and has dark circles under his eyes. That night, both Sam and his mom are tired and Sam tries to argue his way out of his turn to do the dishes. His mom questions him about his behavior and demands he return the dream sphere. Sam slams his door and turns it on again. Sam has strange and uncomfortable dreams, so he decides to stay home. He apologizes to his mom for fighting with her. She apologizes too and leaves for work, and Sam uses the dream sphere once more. He receives a memory of when he was riding with his dad on a road trip. They pull off to a rest stop and his dad advises him to step outside of his comfort zone and find new experiences as he gets older. Sam realizes that his paranoia and fear of danger would have disappointed his dad. He tries to turn the dream sphere off, but it thrusts him into the memory of the day of his dad's death. Sam panics and turns the dream sphere off, but he's still stuck inside the memory and forced to finish the memory. He tries again and manages to turn it off for real, and realizing his sense of reality is blurring and his eyes beginning to bleed, he decides to finally return it to Rod. Sam goes to Rod's house and finds it unlocked with no one except Brutus home. He calls Rod and Rod says they'll be there in 25 minutes for a study session. Sam notices the dream sphere vibrating and that it feels warm. His obsession with the sphere overtakes him and, not wanting his last memory with the sphere to be of his dad's death, asks for one last good experience. In this final experience, Rod encourages Sam to ask Lydia out to prom. Sam then gets a phone call from his dad, telling him to come straight home after school to celebrate his mum selling her first big art piece. Sam realizes that the dream sphere has heard him, and he rushes over to ask Lydia to prom. She says yes, and Rod congratulates him. In the real world, Rod informs the others that Sam's returning the dream sphere, but Jules tells him that his friend at the Mega Pizzaplex can get them to play a new arcade game before others know about it. Rod doesn't want to leave Sam behind, so he quickly texts him before joining the others. Sam ignores the text and uses the dream sphere to pass his SAT. He opens his locker to see the dream sphere inside, and he tells it to make it so no one except him remembers it. Sam meets up with his friends and beats Jules in an arm wrestle, making peace with him. He then hears the house phone ringing and questions where his friends are. Sam tries turning off the dream sphere, but can't move and comes to a troubling realization: he never plugged it in. He hears Brutus barking and begins to feel a sharp pain at his ear. Sam runs to the school bathroom as he feels Brutus tearing at his cheek. His face is fine in the reflection, but he can feel Brutus eating his face in the real world. Suddenly, Moondrop appears behind him and when he waves his hand, Sam is at peace. Moondrop walks out the door and Sam follows, excited for more adventures. Meanwhile, the Moondrop in the dream sphere slowly stops spinning. That's the story. I hope you enjoyed this summary and I will see you again in the next story. Pressure.